Hi everyone, and welcome to my next video tutorial where I'll be teaching you how to set up CloudWatch alarms for your EC2 instances in AWS. So we're going to make use of 3 services today. So let's search for them. So the first one is going to be EC2, okay, so that we can go ahead and create our virtual server. Now, virtual servers are called EC2 instances in AWS, so I just wanted to clarify that up for you guys. And we just want to bookmark that to our navigation bar. Next, we want to make use of SNS. Okay, so this is known as Simple Notification Service. So basically, this is a service that we can use for sending out events that happen, and we can go ahead and trigger notifications to particular services that we have. So in this case, the service that we'll be making use of is the email-based response. So let's say we trigger a CloudWatch alarm. We want to send out a notification in the form of an email just to a normal email that we have. So I'd also recommend that you have a basic email all set and ready to go, just tabbed up. Okay, so you can add this here, Simple Notification Service. And the last one, of course, CloudWatch. Okay, so CloudWatch here, we're going to use it to monitor our resources and our applications. So to be a little bit more specific, we're going to monitor our Amazon EC2 instance. So add that as well to your navigation bar as follows. Okay. Next thing that we want to do is just duplicate the tab. So we're going to duplicate it twice. Okay, and I'll explain why that is in just a moment. So simply put, the first tab is going to be for EC2, second tab will be for SNS, and third tab will be for CloudWatch. Okay, so the first tab, let's go to EC2. Second tab, we're going to go to SNS, so the Simple Notification Service. And let's go to the last tag where we're going to head over to CloudWatch. So we can open that as well. Okay, so let's check all that out. So let me head back to Amazon SNS here. There we go. We're on the dashboard here for EC2 and we're in CloudWatch. So make sure you've got the following tabs open, very important, and make sure you are logged into a Gmail account or email account of your choosing. So make sure you've got the following opened up and ready to go. Right, so let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and create an EC2 instance. So we can see here we have 0 instances running, so you can go ahead and click on that. And then here on the top right here, we want to launch an instance. So we're going to create a basic EC2 instance. So just a normal virtual server, just to do some testing here. And of course, let's go ahead and name our server. So I'm just going to click in here and the name and call it server 1. So something very simple. Next, I want to scroll down and select my application and OS image. So my Amazon machine image, so the AMI. So I'm going to keep it as a default here. So I'm going to choose the Amazon Linux AMI, okay, which is based on the free tier. And I'm going to set everything as default. So the architecture will be 64-bit, Amazon Linux 2 kernel, very basic. We'll leave it as is. Now we can scroll down and make sure for your instance type that you set it to the T2 micro, so that's the free tier eligible. It should be set to this as default, but just make sure that it is. Next, under key pair, so you can change the key pair to proceed without a key pair because we're not going to actually SSH into our EC2 instances, so you don't need to worry about this. You can just say proceed without a key pair. Okay, next on the network settings, this is important because we want to set up the firewall or security group for, actually accessing our EC2 instance via HTTP. So you can select create security group. You can leave the default SSH, it's fine. And we want to be able to access our EC2 instance from anywhere. And for that to be for us to be able to do that, we need to allow HTTP traffic from the internet. So we'll actually be able to access our EC2 instance via that HTTP endpoint on an IPv4 address. Okay. So now you can scroll down. You can leave the storage as is. And now you need to just go ahead and select advanced details. So this will open up a drop down. And we can scroll down here and we can add in, right at the bottom, you can leave everything as default. So just scroll to the bottom, our user data. So what I've done is gone ahead and created some dummy data for you. I will add this to the comments section. So what you can do is just go ahead and look for that. I'll pin it to the top so you guys don't have to search or anything. So let's actually copy this here. And there we go. So don't worry, like I said, I will add this to the comments. And once you've added that in, you can just go ahead on your right here and say launch instance. Feel free to review the summary. So we can see here, we only want one EC2 instance. Software image will be the Amazon Linux 2 kernel. The T2 micro instance. Firewall, we're creating a new security group. And the storage is, of course, 8 gig, which is the default. Okay, so we can say launch instance. Okay, so this will take some time. So let's just wait for it to initiate. Now we can scroll and say view all instances. Okay, and we can refresh. And we can see that we have one pending here. Just ignore the other one here. Okay, that is from a test from earlier. So we can see it is currently pending. Okay, so let's just wait for this to come on. There we go. So it's running. Okay, and what I want to actually do here, let's see. Okay, no, we don't need to do that. Okay, so at the moment it's running. So we cannot access this server just yet because we need to wait for the status check to show 2 out of 2. As of this moment, it's initializing, so we can't do anything just yet. So we just are going to have to wait until that status check has been completed. So let's just wait for the status check. So it will show 2 out of 2, and we can go ahead and connect to it and just to test if it's running. And then we can move on to the other services so we can do everything in order without rushing or anything like that. So this will take a few minutes. So let's just wait for the status check. All right, so we're back, and that just took a moment, but we can now see the status checks have passed 2 out of 2. So you can go ahead and click on server 1 here in my example, and of course just refresh here just to make sure everything's okay. All right, great. So what we can do now is we can actually access this. So for me, the public IPv4 address we can see is down here. So what I always like to do is just open this in another tab. Okay, open that up and just double click in here and change it to HTTP because that's the endpoint which we specified early on when we created our security group. And there we go. So my first CloudWatch alarm. So this is what I'm going to be calling it. So this is just random text. So nothing to worry about here. Okay, so that is in place. Great, so let's move on to the next set of steps. So now that we have this in place, we can go ahead to the simple notification service here. So we want to go ahead and create a topic. So we can see here basically a topic is a message channel. So when we publish a message to a topic, this is going to send all of those messages, okay, to subscribed endpoints. So our subscribed endpoint is in our case going to be our email. So we can go ahead and set up a topic. So we can say next step. Okay, and here are the details. So we can either choose FIFO or standard. I'm just going to choose standard because we need to make use of the email for our subscription protocol. And we can now scroll down and give our topic a name. So I'm going to call this my-topic, and I'm going to say max CPU. Okay, so the reason that we are doing this here first is because we cannot go ahead and configure our CloudWatch alarm without setting up this SNS topic. Technically we can, but we want this all to work together nicely. So it's best to do this first. So once you've set that up, you can choose a display name if you'd like. It's really up to you, but that's not necessary. So remember your topic name. So mine is called my topic max CPU. So make sure you remember that, very important. So everything else here we can leave as default. So things such as the encryption, the access policy, data protection policy, everything else we can leave as is and just create the topic. Okay, so there our topic was created. Perfect. Now the next thing we can do is we can go ahead and create a subscription. Okay, so we can go ahead and say create subscription. And we can just go ahead and choose the protocol. So we are going to be making use of email. So you can see here there are other endpoints we can set such as AWS Lambda, SMS, HTTPS, SQS, etc. But we want to keep it short and sweet, so we're going to use email. Now comes the important part. This is the endpoint that we need to set. So I'm going to make use of the email that I have here. So I'm just going to copy the address because what we need to do is for each subscriber that we set up, we need to actually verify the endpoint. So we're going to put in the endpoint, which is basically our Gmail. And as you can see here, AWS does tell us that after our subscription has been created, we need to confirm it. So make sure you set that up and say create subscription. There we go. So we've created a subscription for the My Topic Mac CPU topic. And here we go. It's all set and ready to go. All we need to do now is we need to verify it. So you should get an email now from AWS that says verify your notification or your subscription. And you can just say here, confirm subscription. And we're going to subscribe to the topic, My Topic Mac CPU. So let's confirm the subscription to that topic that we created earlier. There we go. It's been set up. Great. So we can close this. And best to keep your email just open here. I'll just delete this message for now. Okay, so that's looking great. So what we can do now is head over back to the topic. Okay, and we can see we've confirmed the endpoint here. So we have one subscription that is set to this topic, because what we need when we create our CloudWatch alarm is we need to actually go ahead and set this up accordingly. All right, so make sure you've got that in place. All right, so next we can head over to the next tab, so CloudWatch. All right, so make sure you come to this section here. Right, so there are two different ways in which we can set up a CloudWatch alarm. The first way is by going to the CloudWatch service directly. And what we can do is we can head over to all alarms here on the left. Okay, and we can go ahead and create an alarm. Okay, so I don't want to do it this way for you guys. I want to show you a better way in which you can do it. Okay, what you can do is you can either do it this way, or you can do it the other way, which I'm about to show you. Okay, so the other way that I'm going to show you is going to be a little bit simpler and a bit more user-friendly to your needs. So what you can also do is head over to your EC2 instances here. Okay, make sure you select your server here. And you can see here, if you scroll to the right here, we have something called alarm status. So we can add an alarm. We can create an alarm manually here. So what you can do is you can just press plus here. Okay, and you can either create an alarm or edit an alarm. So supposedly you went ahead here and you create an alarm here. What you could do here is you can go ahead and edit that alarm. Okay, so the choice is yours, whichever way you want to do it. It's really up to you. It's going to look fairly similar if you do it this way. If you create an alarm, I mean, you're going to choose a metric, etc., configure actions, add name, descriptions, preview. This is one way in which you can do it. So I'm just going to say cancel. So let's carry on this way. So we're going to create an alarm. And what we can do here is we can set this up here. So alarm notification. So we can configure the alarm to send notifications to an Amazon SNS topic when it's triggered. So remember, we created our topic here called My Topic Mac CPU because we want to send a message to our subscribers. So in this case, we have one email, which is a subscriber, which is going to get a message saying that the CPU has been maxed out. So essentially, we can go ahead and choose that topic. So I'm going to use the My Topic Mac CPU here. Great. Now we want to set an action for our alarm. So this is where the cool part comes in. So I'm going to enable that, and we need to select an action, so an event, what we want to happen once the alarm is triggered. So we can either recover our EC2 instance, reboot the EC2 instance, or stop the EC2 instance. So we can even terminate it. So to make it interesting here and observable, we want to go ahead and say terminate. So we want to terminate our EC2 instance. Right, now we need to set the threshold here. So we can set it to average, max, minimum, sample count, or sum. I like to keep it to the average. This is the simplest way. Next, we need to set when the alarm is, so the state, when the alarm is greater or equal to this percentage. So at the moment here is 0.99%, so basically 1%. But I want to set this to roughly, let's see where our CPU is at the moment. So there we have it. Okay, I want to set this to, let's see if we can set it lower. Right, 0.22%. Okay, so it's right above it. So I'm going to actually set it very low. I'm going to set the percent to 0.1. The reason being that I'm setting it like so is because I want to send a CloudWatch alarm. That's the reason for it. So this is going to differ for you. So have a look at this graph here and take a look where your EC2 instance CPU state is. Because what we did here by default is we just left it as CPU utilization. You can change this up depending on what you wish. So you can set the metric to the number of disk reads, the network in, the CPU credit usage, CPU balance, the status check if it's failed, etc. So I want to set it to CPU utilization. This is generally what it's mostly used in most applications. And usually you'll set this to, in a real world application, to somewhere around 55 or 60% usually. But because we're testing here, I'm just going to set it to 0.1. And what you want to do here is you want to make sure that your EC2 instance, which is the blue here, okay, is way above the red. Okay, the red is when the alarm kicks in. Now, this alarm is only going to kick in within 5 minutes. So for the first 5 minutes, nothing is going to happen. But as soon as 5 minutes has been reached consecutively and your EC2 instance has been in the red, so in the alarm state for 5 minutes, what's going to happen is it's going to send an email to you, to your subscriber here, to your topic, which is based on your subscriber. And it's also going to, if you see here, the alarm action is it's going to terminate the EC2 instance here. So to give you clarity, let me explain this again. So what's going to happen is we are going to check the average, okay, based on the CPU utilization. When the average, the CPU utilization, is greater or equal to 0.1%, okay, consecutively for 5 minutes, okay, what's going to happen is we are going to send an alarm notification. So we're going to send notifications to our SNS topic, which is called My Topic Max CPU, which is going to send and trigger a notification to our subscribers. So in this case, our endpoint, onetimexx96@gmail.com. All right. And what's going to happen then is the action is it's going to terminate our EC2 instance. So you can see this instance here that we have running at the moment. It's going to be deleted and we will no longer be able to access this page here. So it's going to delete our EC2 instance. So that is what's going to happen. Now, like I said, you're going to have to play around with this percentage here depending on where your EC2 instance lies. So I might even make it lower, but I think that's perfectly fine as is. Okay, so once you've got that in place, you can scroll down and you can create your CloudWatch alarm. So you can say create. Okay, and there we go. So it's created a CloudWatch alarm for us. So here we have it. So there is no data at the moment, but this will propagate. It does take a few minutes, so we can just refresh for now. And we've created a CloudWatch alarm here called AWS EC2 greater than or equal to threshold CPU utilization. Now you can choose to edit this alarm name here if you wish. It's really up to you as to what you want to do. So you can choose to do just that. You can go ahead and press plus here again under alarm status. And you can edit an alarm if you wish. Okay, that is really up to you. And we can see we have it here. You can edit it as you wish. And you can change the alarm name here if you want to. That's something else you can also do. So this is how you would edit your CloudWatch alarms. You can say edit, or you can create one from scratch. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go back to my EC2 instance here, head over to instances. Okay, and we're just going to give it some time. And we can already see that the EC2 instance is shutting down. Okay, because that alarm has been triggered. And we can see here we have an alarm detail here because we have exceeded that state. Okay, so sometimes it does happen earlier within 5 minutes. So sometimes it takes a while to propagate. Sometimes it happens almost immediately. It really depends on the timing here. But as long as you set a 5-minute window, it will happen within that time. Okay, so we can see it's shutting down that EC2 instance since our alarm went off. So we can see here, if we refresh here under CloudWatch, we can see we have an alarm here, which is basically just telling us, okay, the condition here has been breached. So the CPU utilization was greater than 0.1% for one data point within 5 minutes. And we can see we have it that has been set, as we can see. And we can also see that this EC2 instance here, our application, we cannot access it. It's now going to time out. And we can see here that it has been deleted, of course, here previously earlier on. We can see now that we are in an alarm state. All right. Right. And what we can see here is that the alarm was sent off. And we should also see in our email here that we should have a message here. So sometimes it goes into the promotion section if you're using a Gmail account, but that's not a problem. So you can go ahead and click on that. And we can see here an alarm was triggered. As we can see here, everything was removed and terminated, as we can see as follows. And this is because that threshold was reached here, the greater than or equal to at least 0.1% was sent and executed. And we can even see the metric that we sent up, which was based on CPU utilization within 300 seconds, and it was based on the average, as we can see here. You can also go ahead and visit the alarm here, so you can see exactly which alarm was triggered. So if you open this in another tab here, you can go ahead and see that particular alarm that was triggered, and that's what we saw on this page here, but it's just going to redirect us to all of our alarms here. So it's going to show it in exact detail and provide you with some metrics. So here's the alarm name, the greater than or equal to threshold CPU utilization that went ahead. Okay, so that is how you can go ahead and set that up. Now do bear aware that this doesn't look very nice here. So you can, of course, like I mentioned earlier, change the name for your alarm for it to look a bit cleaner, a bit better, etc. Okay, so that's how you can set up a CloudWatch alarm for your EC2 instances. Now, what you can also do if you want to create an alarm, like I said, you can go ahead and do it this way. Head over to all alarms, create your alarm here. But the only thing that you need to bear in mind here is once you create this alarm here, you will need to manually set it to your EC2 instance. Okay, that is in my experience here. So what you would need to do here is you would need to select a metric. Okay, and you can see here it's automatically very complicated to do it here. But what you'll usually do here, if you want to make use of EC2, you can just under metrics, just say EC2 first of all, and look for EC2 here. Then you need to set it by auto-scaling group or per instance metrics. So I would suggest per instance metrics. And then you can choose the metric name here. So we use CPU utilization. You would check the box there. Then you can say select metric. And you can see here it's very similar to what we did earlier on. You can set the metric name. Then you can see it's based to the statistic of average every 5 minutes. Now you can set your conditions here also if you wish. So you can see it's basically what we did earlier. So greater than, equal to, lower than, equal. I would suggest using a static value. You can also use anomaly detection. And here you can define the threshold. So in this case here, it will be the percentage. So you can maybe say 50% or anything. Head over to additional configuration. You can also set the data treatments as you wish. So we can then go to next. And now you can configure the alarm state. So in alarm, okay, or insufficient data. Then here you can either select an SNS topic, or you can go ahead and create a brand new topic if you wish here. Okay, so that's why we went ahead earlier on to create an SNS topic here, which is much easier and saves us time. Then you would send a notification to someone in the email list. And as you can see here, you can add a few extra functions in place as well. Okay, but I'm not going to go into detail this way because it is a little bit confusing. But what we can do is actually finish this up just to give you some clarity here. So you would then choose your notification topic. So it's going to be my topic max CPU. It's going to load that endpoint automatically. And you can go to next. Set your alarm name. So here you can go ahead and set your alarm name. So here I'm going to say max CPU reached. We can maybe put in some dashes here. That's fine. Go to next. And you can see here the metrics that has been set based on CPU utilization, our conditions, the further actions. So just a final review here, and then you can create the alarm. So that is another way in which you can do it. Although I prefer the other way of doing it, which is a lot easier. You create your instance and then create an alarm that way. It's a bit simpler, but this is another way for you to go ahead and do just that. So what we can do here is we can just cancel this, and we can just clean everything up. So I'm just going to delete an alarm. So here you will click on this, and you can go ahead and delete that alarm. So click on that checkbox. There we go. It was deleted, set and ready to go. And we can close everything up here. You can delete your topics as well. So what you would need to do first of all is you would need to delete your subscription here. So you can say delete. There we go. And then you can delete your topic. So you can just say delete me to delete your topic. There we go. So that was deleted. Great. All right, this instance is gone. So just refresh and double check that your EC2 instance was terminated. As long as it's terminated, you are good to go. And that's pretty much it also for the resource cleanup. All right. So that's it, guys. So I hope this video helped you. So here you've learned how to send notifications based on a CloudWatch alarm in Amazon EC2, and also to set everything up accordingly as it should be. So there are two ways in which, like I said, you can create your CloudWatch alarm. I would suggest the first method. You can do the second method if you wish, but it can be a bit confusing because in some cases you need to assign it to your EC2 instances. Other cases, it's assigned automatically to an EC2 instance, but in my experience, that can be a little bit confusing. So best to do it the manual way if you're able to do it. So this is just a basic way of setting up your CloudWatch alarms for your EC2 instances. All right, so that's it, guys, and I hope this video helped you. And as always, thank you for the support. See you guys.